Conjunctions. Conjunctions are connecting words. They join words, phrases, and sentences in writing and speech. Conjunctions come in three forms: coordinating, correlative, and subordinating. Coordinating and correlative conjunctions connect similar elements. Nouns with nouns, phrases with phrases, sentences with sentences. Subordinating conjunctions connect elements that are dissimilar. Coordinating conjunctions. Coordinating conjunctions join words, phrases, or clauses that are independent or of equal importance. The acronym FANBOYS will help you remember the 7, and only 7, coordinating conjunctions for and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Coordinating conjunctions can join 1. 2 verbs. For example, the boys ran and jumped all over the playground. 2. 2 nouns. For example, would you like cereal or toast for breakfast? 3. 2 adjectives. For example, the old palace seemed grand yet mysterious. 4. 2 adverbs. For example, slowly but surely, the tortoise finished the race. 5. 2 phrases. For example, he seemed poorly groomed, yet well-mannered. 6. 2 independent clauses. For example, I love chocolates, yet I know they are not good for me. Coordinating conjunctions. Each of the coordinating conjunctions has a specific function that they serve when used in sentences, as shown in the table. Coordinating conjunctions. Coordinating conjunctions may be subdivided into 4 kinds. 1. Cumulative. Connects one word, phrase, or statement to another. For example, and Jack and Jill went up the hill. And joins two words. A young woman and an old woman were waiting for the bus. And joins two phrases. Karan sold the house and put the money in the bank. And joins two sentences. 2. Alternative. Expresses a choice between two statements. For example, or, no. We could go by bus or by train. She is neither lazy nor careless. 3. Adversative. Expresses contrast between two statements. For example, yet, but. We ran all the way, yet we were late for school. They are poor, but they are happy. 4. Relative. One statement is inferred from another. For example, for, so. She will pass, for she works very hard. I am sick, so I am not going to school. Coordinating conjunctions. Using commas with coordinating conjunctions. 1. If a coordinating conjunction is joining together two independent clauses, it needs to have a comma with it. For example, television is a wonderful escape, but it interferes with my writing. 2. When a coordinating conjunction is used to join two words or phrases, do not use a comma. For example, we are going to a zoo and an aquarium on the same day. 3. When a coordinating conjunction is used with more than two items, the comma before the coordinating conjunction is optional. For example, she loves chocolates, burgers, pizza and chips. Or, she loves chocolates, burgers, pizza, and chips. Correlative conjunctions. Correlative conjunctions come in pairs, and are used as such, in different places in a sentence. They connect sentence elements of similar structure and importance. There are 5 common pairs of correlative conjunctions: both, and, either, or, neither, nor, not only, but also, whether, or. The table shows how to use correlative conjunctions. Correlative conjunctions. Some more correlative conjunctions with examples are given in the table. Correlative conjunctions. Some more correlative conjunctions with examples are given in the table. Subordinating conjunctions. The subordinating conjunctions connect an independent clause to a dependent or subordinate clause. Remember, an independent clause can stand alone as a sentence. A dependent clause adds extra information to the main clause. These clauses cannot stand by themselves, and their meaning is dependent on the independent clause. For example, I will come if you invite me. Here, I will come is the independent clause. If you invite me is the subordinate or dependent clause. The two clauses are joined by the subordinating conjunction, if. Subordinating conjunctions. The subordinating conjunctions may be classified according to their meaning into 1. Those which show time or place. After, before, since, as soon as, while, until, as, so long as, till, wherever, etc. For example, I have been very busy since I started my new job. Brush your teeth before you go to bed. I hit the snooze button as soon as the alarm goes off. Wait here till I come back. Wherever she goes, she wins respect. 2. Those which show purpose. In order that, lest, so that, etc. For example, play games, in order that your health may improve. Study hard, lest you should fail. A canal was dug, so that the farmers could get water for their fields. Subordinating conjunctions. 3. Those which show cause. Because, since, as, etc. For example, he was punished because he was guilty. Since she was not there, I left a message with his mother. As they were not ready, we left without them. 4. Those which show result or effect. So, that. For example, he was so tired that he could hardly walk. 5. Those which show condition. Provided that, supposing, unless, as if, whether, on condition, etc. For example, I will go abroad if I get a good job. I cannot open the door unless you give me the key. It looks as if it might rain. I will agree to these conditions, provided they increase my salary. Subordinating conjunctions. 6. Those which show comparison. Than, no less than, as much as, etc. For example, he is taller than I am. I am as healthy as you are. 7. Those which show manner. As, so far as, according as if, etc. For example, he behaved as if nothing had happened. Leave it as it is. 8. Those which show concession or contrast. Though, although, however, notwithstanding, as, even if, whatever, whichever, etc. For example, I will not forgive him, even if he apologizes. Although he works hard, he doesn't earn much. She could not pass the exam, though she tried many times. Subordinating conjunctions. Note. 1. So, that, and, so that, should be clearly distinguished. So, in the principal clause, and, that, introducing a subordinate clause, suggests result. So that, together, suggests purpose. 2. Comma placement, and subordinating conjunctions. Subordinating conjunctions that fall in the middle of a sentence are generally not preceded by a comma. When a subordinate clause begins a sentence, however, the whole clause, but not the subordinating conjunction itself, is followed by a comma. For example, although she is petite, she has a lot of strength. Subordinating conjunctions versus relative pronouns. Relative pronouns, that, who, and which, also introduce dependent clauses. They differ from subordinating conjunctions because they act as the subject of a dependent clause. Subordinating conjunctions do not. Subordinating conjunctions are followed by the subject of their clause. For example, relative pronoun. I don't like people who interrupt me. Here, there are two clauses. I don't like people is the independent clause that could stand alone, and who interrupt me is the dependent clause, providing us with more information. The relative pronoun, who, acts as the subject of the dependent clause. Subordinating conjunction. We talked about music and movies while we ate. Here, we talked about music and movies is the independent clause that could stand alone, and while we ate is the dependent clause, providing us with more information. In this example, both clauses have the subject, we. The subordinating conjunction, while, does not act as the subject of the dependent clause.